Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked away from a conversation and thought to yourself, why did I let them get to me like that? Maybe someone cut you off in traffic. Maybe a coworker made a passive-aggressive comment. Or maybe someone promised something and broke that promise without a second thought. And before you even had time to think, you snapped, you yelled, you stewed in silence, you spiraled, and later when things calmed down, you realized they didn't take your peace. You gave it to them. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us are walking around like ticking time bombs, reacting to everything and everyone. A rude comment, a delayed flight, a missed text. We lose our cool, not because the world is cruel, but because we've never been taught how to master our reactions. But what if I told you, you don't actually have to react? Imagine this. Someone insults you, and instead of getting defensive, you stay grounded. Plans fall through, but you stay calm. Life doesn't go your way, but your peace remains untouched. That's not weakness. That's not passivity. That's power. Because here's something the ancient Stoics knew thousands of years ago. Real strength isn't about overpowering others. It's about mastering yourself. Seneca once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And that's the heart of this video. We're going to talk about something most of us were never taught in school. Emotional self-control. Not suppression, not bottling things up, but the ability to choose your response instead of being a slave to your impulses. This isn't just philosophy. This is survival in a chaotic world. This is how you stop people from pushing your buttons. This is how you take back your peace. Because when you react to every insult, every frustration, every minor inconvenience, you give your power away. But when you can stay calm in the storm, you become unshakable, unbothered, unstoppable. So if you're tired of feeling like other people control your mood, if you want to build a kind of inner armor that can't be pierced by petty comments or unexpected chaos, then stick with me. Because in this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 powerful Stoic strategies that can completely change the way you respond to life. These aren't abstract ideas. These are practical, battle-tested techniques used by warriors, leaders, and philosophers for centuries. From Marcus Aurelius in the Roman Empire to modern high performers navigating the chaos of today's world, you'll learn how to pause when provoked, how to separate what's in your control from what's not, and how to build a calm so deep no one can steal it from you unless you let them. So the next time someone tries to rattle you, you won't just survive the moment, you'll rise above it. Let's dive in. Let's get real for a moment. How many times have you lost your temper, only to regret it just 5 minutes later? Maybe it was a rude driver who cut you off on the highway. Maybe it was a disrespectful comment during a meeting. Or maybe it was something as small as someone taking too long to text you back. And in that moment, your heart rate spiked, your chest tightened, your voice raised. Maybe you even slammed a door or sent a message you wish you could take back. And then what happened? The moment passed, but the emotional damage stayed. You felt drained, ashamed, or worse, you gave someone else the power to ruin your entire day. Here's the thing most people don't realize. The real moment of power loss doesn't happen when someone disrespects you. It happens the second you react without thinking. That's when you hand over the steering wheel. That's when your peace, your confidence, your dignity gets hijacked by impulse. But here's what the Stoics knew, and what we need to remember. Self-control is your shield. It's your defense against chaos. It's not about pretending you don't feel angry or frustrated. It's about not letting those feelings drive your actions. Let me say that again, because it's crucial. Self-control is not about suppressing your emotions. It's about refusing to be ruled by them. And the first tool in building that kind of strength? The pause. That small space between stimulus and response. That half second when your body wants to explode, but your mind has the chance to step in and say, wait, is this reaction really worth it? That pause is where your power lives. Let me give you a simple, everyday example. You're driving home after a long day, you're tired, you're hungry, you just want peace, then, bam, someone cuts you off aggressively, forcing you to hit the brakes. Your heart jumps. Your fists tighten around the steering wheel. Everything in you wants to lay on the horn, scream, maybe even speed up to get back at them. But let's say instead, you pause. You take one deep breath. You remind yourself, this is not worth giving up my peace. And you just keep driving. What happens? That driver? They're gone in 10 seconds, but your calm, it stays with you the whole ride home. You didn't let a stranger dictate your emotional state. That's power. Because the truth is, the world will always be full of people trying to provoke you. Some do it on purpose. Others just trigger your old patterns. But it's not their behavior that matters most. It's your response. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, said it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So how do we build that kind of strength? It starts with 3 words. Pause, breathe, decide. First, pause. When you feel the fire rising, don't feed it. Don't act, just stop. Then, breathe. Your breath is the remote control to your nervous system. One deep breath can shift you out of fight or flight and back into clarity. Finally, decide. Ask yourself, is this reaction helping me? Am I about to say or do something I'll regret? Is this really worth my energy? That tiny space between reaction and response is where emotional mastery is built. And the more you practice it, the stronger you get. Will you get it right every time? Of course not. We're human. You'll still mess up. You'll still snap sometimes. But each time you choose self-control over reactivity, you strengthen a habit that will serve you for life. And here's the best part. When people realize they can't control you anymore, they stop trying, they can throw shade, start drama, bait you into arguments. But when you're steady, when you choose silence over noise, when you let your self-control do the talking, you rise above it all. You become the calm in the chaos. You become someone others respect, even fear. Not because you shout louder, but because you don't need to. So the next time you feel your buttons being pushed, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, is this really how I want to spend my energy? Because peace is a choice. In self-control, that's the muscle that makes it possible. Let's move on to the next principle, where we'll explore how Stoics learn to separate what they can control from what they can't, and why that simple shift can free you from 90% of daily stress. Let's keep going. Let's be honest. Most of the frustration we feel toward other people doesn't actually come from them. It comes from what we expected them to do. You expected your friend to call you back. You expected your boss to recognize your effort. You expected your partner to read your mind, understand your mood, and show up the way you needed. But they didn't. And just like that, disappointment sets in. Frustration builds. You start replaying the situation in your head, thinking, how could they not see this? How could they not care? But here's a question worth asking. Are you upset because of what they did, or because of what you expected them to do? According to the Stoics, most of our emotional suffering doesn't come from reality. It comes from our interpretation of it. More specifically, from the gap between what we hoped would happen and what actually did. That gap, that's where resentment grows. That's where peace disappears. The ancient Stoic philosophers understood something that can change the way you experience people forever. Most people are just being who they are, not who you want them to be, not who you need them to be, just who they are. And the real problem starts when we hold them to a silent contract, a contract they never signed. We expect them to be on time. We expect them to be thoughtful. We expect them to never betray our trust, never lose their temper, never fall short. And when they inevitably do, we feel shocked, hurt, offended, as if they broke a promise, when in reality, the only person who made that promise was us. So what's the Stoic solution? It's not bitterness. It's not apathy. It's realistic expectations. In Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, today I will meet people who are selfish, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they don't know the difference between good and evil. Now that might sound a little bleak at first, but think about the power in that perspective. If you expect someone to be difficult, and they are, you're not shaken. If you expect someone to be impatient or self-centered, and they live up to that expectation, you're not shocked, you're prepared. This doesn't mean you become cynical or cold. It means you stop being surprised by human nature. And when you stop being surprised, you stop taking it personally. Imagine how much peace you'd gain if you could see people as they truly are, not as you wish they were. Let me give you a quick exercise. Think of someone who constantly disappoints you. It could be a friend who always cancels plans, a coworker who never pulls their weight, a sibling who never seems to appreciate what you do. Now ask yourself this simple question. Am I upset at what they did? Or am I upset because I expected them to be someone they're not? That question changes everything. You see, disappointment doesn't mean someone failed you. It often means your expectations were out of sync with reality. And lowering your expectations? That's not giving up on people. It's freeing yourself from the chains of silent demands. Here's a simple shift. Instead of expecting others to be perfect, try expecting yourself to respond with wisdom. Instead of expecting people to never let you down, expect that they might, and prepare your heart accordingly. The moment you stop needing everyone else to change. It's the moment you become emotionally invincible. Look, this doesn't mean you allow toxic behavior or excuse abuse. Boundaries still matter. But there's a difference between protecting yourself and resenting people for simply being human. Because here's the truth. People will forget to say thank you. They'll show up late. They'll break promises. They'll act from their own fears, wounds, and blind spots. And when you accept that, not with anger but with clarity, you take a giant step toward peace. Marcus Aurelius didn't write those words to justify bad behavior. He wrote them to prepare his mind so he could walk into the day with calm instead of chaos. And we can do the same. You can still hope for the best in people, but now you're not shaken when they fall short because you're grounded, because your peace isn't built on what others do. It's built on how you choose to see. So the next time someone disappoints you, before reacting, pause, breathe, and ask, am I hurt by what they did or by what I expected? That one question might just save you hours of overthinking. And more importantly, it'll help you reclaim a kind of inner peace that no one else can touch. Let's move forward. In the next part, we'll explore a truth that might just blow your mind. How judging less can actually give you more control over your emotions, your energy, and your relationships. Let's keep going. Have you ever noticed how some people just love to get a rise out of you? Maybe it's that coworker who always makes passive-aggressive comments, or a stranger online who throws out a cheap insult just to stir the pot, or even someone close to you who knows exactly what buttons to push to make you snap. And when you react, when you defend yourself, argue back, get flustered, or emotional, you might think you're standing your ground. But in reality, you've just given them exactly what they wanted. Here's the hard truth. Some people provoke you on purpose. Why? Because when you react, they feel in control. It becomes a power game, one that you lose the moment you step into their frame. But the Stoics saw right through this. Epictetus, a former slave-turned-philosopher, once said, "Pain requires permission." What does that mean? It means that insults, words, gestures, sneers, they don't actually have any power unless you give it to them. Now, that doesn't mean you should let people walk all over you. It means you get to decide what and who deserves access to your inner peace. Because not everything deserves a response, and not everyone deserves your energy. Let me ask you something. Have you ever regretted not reacting to a provocation? Probably not. But I bet you have regretted the times you let someone pull you into their chaos. The argument that spun out of control, the insult that ruined your whole day, the tension that lingered long after they forgot about it. That's why the Stoic superpower isn't apathy. It's indifference with purpose. It's learning to protect your peace like it's sacred. Because it is. It's understanding that walking away isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's not retreat. It's command. Here's the key. When someone mocks you, insults you, or tries to get under your skin, pause. Feel the initial reaction rise up, that heat in your chest, that tight jaw, that voice in your head saying, say something, and then don't. Just because you feel the urge to respond doesn't mean you have to obey it. This is what real strength looks like. Resisting the bait, staying in control of your emotional state, letting their words fall flat because you refuse to accept the invitation to chaos. There's a powerful quote that says, "He who angers you controls you." And every time you lash out, take offense, or get defensive, you've handed that control over. So how do we take it back? We practice calm resistance, not silence that bottles up resentment, but silence that transcends it. A knowing, grounded stillness that says, I see what you're doing, but I'm not playing. Imagine this. You're at a family gathering. That one relative makes their usual jab about your life choices. Everyone turns to see how you'll react. You smile politely, take a sip of your drink, and change the subject. You didn't ignore them out of fear. You rose above it, out of strength. That's Stoic indifference in action. You chose peace over pettiness. You chose freedom over friction. Here's another example. Someone cuts you off in traffic and flips you off. Your ego wants justice, but your higher self says, why trade my peace for a stranger's tantrum? That split-second decision to breathe, to let go, to move on, that's where power lives. Look, life is full of provocations, but not every provocation deserves your attention. You don't have to chase down every insult. You don't have to correct every fool. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. The Stoics taught this not to make us passive, but to make us invincible. Because once you stop giving people permission to disturb your peace, you become untouchable in a way that no amount of force can replicate. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, pause, feel it, then ask yourself, is this worth my energy, or is this exactly what they want? And if it's the latter, smile, say nothing, and walk away with your dignity intact. You've just won a battle they never saw coming. Remember this, it's not the insult that hurts, it's the belief that you have to respond. And once you let go of that belief, you reclaim a level of emotional freedom most people never even realize exists. You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to prove your worth because your peace isn't up for grabs. Let me ask you something. When life throws something annoying your way, an unexpected delay, a rude email, a broken promise, what's your first instinct? Is it, why me? Or is it, what is this teaching me? Because here's the shift that changed everything for me. Instead of seeing problems as personal attacks, I started seeing them as tests of character. The Stoics had a powerful way of looking at life. They believed that every frustration, every setback, every discomfort wasn't there to punish you. It was there to train you. Think about it like this. If life is a gym, then obstacles are the weights. And every time you lift, every time you push through pain, through annoyance, through resistance, you grow stronger. That traffic jam, it's not just a delay, it's a patience workout. That coworker who keeps interrupting you, that's your test in humility and restraint. That failure that knocked the wind out of you, that's life asking, will you rise again? When you start seeing every challenge as a chance to sharpen your soul, everything changes. Most people live reacting to life. They only feel good when things go their way. But the Stoic lives responding to life. They ask, what is this moment calling me to become? Let me share something personal. A few years ago, I missed out on a major opportunity, something I had worked months for. I was angry. I was frustrated. I was tempted to blame everyone around me. But then I remembered something I had once read from Marcus Aurelius. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the obstacle is the path. So instead of sulking, I asked myself, what is this moment asking me to build in myself? And the answer was resilience, adaptability, trust in the long game. That one setback ended up forcing me to grow in ways I never would have chosen on my own. But I'm better for it. Here's the truth. Discomfort is not the enemy. Avoiding discomfort is. When we treat every irritation as something to run from, we miss the chance to become more. But when we lean in, when we choose to breathe, observe, and learn, that's when real growth happens. Here's a simple practice you can use starting today. The next time something upsets you, even a small thing, pause. Take one slow breath. Then ask yourself, what's the test here? What's life trying to develop in me right now? Maybe it's discipline, maybe it's compassion, maybe it's courage. And once you name it, step into it. Respond from the version of you that already has that quality. That's how you grow stronger, not just mentally, but spiritually. Because here's the secret most people never realize. Every day you're being trained, not by a teacher, not by a coach, but by life itself. And life isn't grading you on comfort. It's grading you on character. How you show up when things go wrong. That's who you really are. Anyone can be calm when things are easy. But what about when someone snaps at you? What about when plans fall apart? What about when the unexpected knocks at your door? That's the test. That test. And every moment is a new chance to pass it. Now, will you always get it right? Of course not. But that's not the point. The point is to keep showing up, to keep growing, to keep choosing the higher response, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. Because that discomfort, that's the signal that you're on the edge of becoming something greater. So the next time you're irritated, delayed, or disappointed, remember this. It's not just happening to you. It's happening for you, not to crush you, but to forge you. And that version of you on the other side, the calmer you, the stronger you, the wiser, more resilient you, they're waiting, but it's up to you to show up and take the test and not just pass it, but use it to become who you were meant to be. Have you ever been overwhelmed by a feeling, anger, anxiety, shame, and it felt like you disappeared and the emotion took over? Like the anger was driving the car, like the fear had grabbed the mic, like the shame was calling the shots. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone. But here's the truth the Stoics knew and what modern neuroscience now confirms. You are not your emotions. You feel anger, you experience anxiety, you notice shame, but none of those are you. They are messengers, not dictators. They are signals, not commands. Just because you feel it doesn't mean you have to obey it. Let me give you a picture to work with. Imagine standing on a sidewalk and watching cars pass by. Each car is a different emotion. Anger, frustration, jealousy, fear. Now you can observe the cars, but you don't have to chase them. You don't have to jump in and let them take you for a ride. The Stoics had a phrase for this. They taught, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Think about how powerful that is. Someone insults you? That's the stimulus. You feel the flare of anger? That's the signal. But what comes next? That's on you. You don't have to lash out. You don't have to shut down. You don't even have to react at all. You can pause, breathe, observe, and choose. And that choice, that's where your power lives. Now, I want to share a small practice that can completely transform how you deal with strong emotions. It's deceptively simple, but profoundly effective. Step 1, name the emotion. When you feel the rush of heat in your chest or that knot in your stomach, pause and say, this is anger. This is fear. This is sadness. It might sound odd, but naming the emotion gives you just enough distance to stop identifying with it. You're not saying, I am angry. You're saying, this is anger showing up. It's like putting your emotion in the passenger seat, not behind the wheel. Step 2, ask yourself one question. Will acting on this emotion help me grow or help me regret? Sometimes anger is righteous. Sometimes fear is trying to protect you. But sometimes, most times, they're just noise, echoes from the past, habits of the nervous system. So we have to check, is this useful? Is this wise, or is this just familiar? And finally, step 3, act only if it aligns with who you want to become. That's the Stoic way. Not suppression, not avoidance, but mastery. Here's a personal story. I once had a colleague say something about my work in a meeting that really got under my skin. I felt it instantly. Tight chest, clenched jaw. the urge to fire back. But I paused. I named it. This is anger. And I asked myself, if I respond with sarcasm right now, will it help me build trust or just feel better for 5 seconds? That pause, just a few seconds, saved me from damaging a relationship that took years to build. That's the space. That's the power. And don't get me wrong, this isn't about being a robot. It's not about pretending you don't feel what you feel. It's about choosing your response consciously, not letting it be hijacked by an automatic reaction. You still feel, you still hurt, you still care, but now you choose. And that's emotional strength. Not the ability to suppress, but the ability to direct. So the next time you feel yourself boiling, spiraling, or shutting down, pause. Say, this is just a wave. I don't have to ride it. Let the emotion pass. And when it does, respond. Not from the chaos, but from the calm. Because every time you do that, you're rewiring something deeper. You're teaching your nervous system that you're safe. You're telling your mind that it's okay not to panic. You're proving to yourself that you don't have to be ruled by what you feel. That's power. That's self-command. That's emotional freedom. And it's available to you not someday, but right now. All it takes is that moment of pause, that one breath, that small act of awareness. Because in that space, you stop reacting like the old you, and you start responding like the real you. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly annoyed? Maybe it was standing in traffic for what felt like forever, or your internet cut out in the middle of an important Zoom call. Maybe someone interrupted you for the 5th time, and you felt your patience snap. Now imagine, just for a second, if instead of getting frustrated, you felt grateful. Sounds ridiculous, right? But here's what the Stoics taught, something so radical yet so freeing. Don't just be grateful for the good things. Be grateful in the hard things. They believe that discomfort isn't just something to survive, it's something that can shape us. When we complain, we trap ourselves in the feeling. We rehearse the pain, repeat the story, and relive the bitterness. But when we shift into gratitude, something strange happens. We regain control. We gain perspective. We transform a moment of weakness into a moment of wisdom. Let me give you a small, simple example. You're stuck in a long line at the grocery store. The cart ahead of you is overflowing. The cashier is moving slower than dial-up internet. You start fuming, but then you pause and think, what if this is tolerance training? What if this moment is a gift, a quiet invitation to practice stillness, to notice your breath, to smile at the person behind you, to be where your feet are? That's not toxic positivity. That's not pretending everything's great when it's not. That's powerful reframing. That's mental discipline. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote in his journal something he didn't expect anyone else to read. Begin each day by telling yourself, today I will meet with ingratitude, arrogance, deceit, betrayal, envy, and selfishness. They are the result of ignorance of what is good and evil. He wasn't being cynical. He was preparing, mentally. He knew discomfort was coming, and he decided ahead of time how he would meet it. With clarity, with strength, with, believe it or not, gratitude. Because every hard moment gives you something. It gives you a mirror to see yourself more clearly. It gives you a stage to practice virtue, patience, resilience, forgiveness. And it gives you a story worth telling, not a life of ease, but a life of character. Now here's a practice that can shift your mindset almost overnight. It's simple, but don't let that fool you. Every evening, take 60 seconds to recall one annoying, irritating, or stressful moment from your day. Just one. Then ask yourself, what did this moment teach me? What strength did it call out of me? What did I get to practice that I usually avoid? Maybe it was patience. Maybe it was assertiveness. Maybe it was letting go of control. You'll start to realize that every discomfort is a teacher. Every irritation is a lesson dressed in disguise. I'll tell you a quick personal story. A few years ago, I was at the DMV for 6 hours. Yes, 6. No Wi-Fi, no coffee, and a guy behind me loudly chewing sunflower seeds the entire time. I could have left that day bitter and burned out, but instead I made a game out of it. I decided, this is my Stoic boot camp today. I'm here to train. I practiced slow breathing. I listened to a kid nearby tell stories to his grandma. I even ended up helping an older man fill out his forms. That day could have been a waste. Instead, it became a win. Not because anything outside changed, but because my perspective did. So the next time life feels frustrating, when the traffic is backed up, when the barista gets your name wrong for the 5th time, when the universe seems to put everything in your way, pause and ask, what is this moment calling me to build in myself? Can I be grateful even here? Not because it's fun, not because it's easy, but because it's powerful. Because gratitude in hard moments isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's the mindset of someone who's decided to grow through life, not just go through life. That's what the Stoics practiced. That's what we were capable of. So here's your challenge. Tonight, when the day winds down, think back to one small thing that frustrated you. Don't judge it. Don't dramatize it. Just look at it honestly and find the hidden gift. If you do this every day, your mind will change. Your stress will shrink. Your strength will grow. And over time, you'll stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start saying, thank you. This is happening for me. That shift right there is what turns discomfort into development. Gratitude is not just about feeling good. It's about seeing clearly and becoming the kind of person who can face life with calm, courage, and purpose. And you've got that in you. You always have. Let me ask you a simple question. Think back to something that really upset you 5 years ago. Can you even remember what it was? A rude comment, a stressful deadline, a fight over something small? Chances are, you either don't remember it at all, or if you do, it doesn't carry the emotional weight it once did. And that's the power of time perspective, a mental shift the Stoics practiced to shrink problems down to their true size. You see, when we're in the middle of a crisis, a mistake, a setback, an embarrassing moment, it feels massive, like the world is watching, like this moment will define us forever. But zoom out, and most of the time, what feels overwhelming now won't even matter next month, let alone next year. That's what the Stoics understood. They trained themselves to step outside of the emotion and ask one incredibly grounding question. Will this matter in a month, in a year, in 5 years? It's a question that brings instant clarity. Let me give you a real-world example. Imagine you just had a terrible day at work. You missed a deadline. Your boss seemed disappointed. You're replaying it over and over in your head. You can't sleep. You feel like a failure. But now imagine asking yourself, will this even matter a year from now? Will your entire career really be defined by this one mistake? Or will it become just a story, a lesson, a stepping stone you look back on and say, that taught me something I couldn't have learned any other way? See, this isn't about pretending things don't matter. It's about prioritizing your energy, saving your mental strength for what truly deserves it. Most storms pass, most pain fades. And when we panic in the moment, we give too much of ourselves to problems that never deserve that much power. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." And that strength often comes from just zooming out. Here's a practice you can start using right away. It's simple, but it's like a pressure valve for your brain. The next time you feel anxious, embarrassed, or angry, pause and do a quick time test. Ask, how much will this matter? Tomorrow? Next month? In 5 years? If the answer is not much, then don't give it your whole heart. Don't sacrifice your peace for a temporary storm. This shift, this ability to mentally zoom out, is one of the greatest emotional tools you'll ever build. It allows you to respond, not just react, to move forward, not spiral downward. Now look, some things do matter in the long run. A betrayal, a major life decision, a health crisis, and those things deserve our full presence, our full attention, our full effort. But so many of the daily stressors we face, a rude email, a social media comment, a missed appointment. They won't matter in the big picture. And if it won't matter, then why let it rob your energy now? Let me tell you a quick story. A friend of mine was once humiliated during a big presentation. His slides froze. He lost his train of thought. He walked off stage feeling crushed. For days, he replayed it in his head. The silence, the awkwardness, the looks from the audience. It felt like the end of his credibility. But fast forward 6 months, he was invited back. This time with more experience, more confidence, and a better story to tell. The crowd loved it. The stumble became part of his journey, not the end of it. He told me later, that moment only felt huge because I was standing right next to it. Time gave it the right size. That's what temporal reframing does. It doesn't erase the pain, but it puts it in its place. It shrinks the panic and expands your perspective. So here's something you can do today. Think about one thing you're worried about right now, something eating at you. Then ask yourself, will this shape who I am 5 years from now? Or is this just a passing wave? If it's the latter, let it pass. Breathe deeper. Conserve your energy because life is long and not every bump in the road deserves a breakdown. When you learn to zoom out, you reclaim your calm, you reclaim your strength, and most importantly, you stop being a prisoner of the present moment and start becoming the architect of your long-term peace. That's Stoicism in action. That's wisdom you can live by. And that's how you turn problems into perspective. Let's talk about one of the biggest thieves of peace and progress. Rumination. You know the feeling, you're brushing your teeth, and suddenly you're reliving a conversation from 3 weeks ago. You're lying in bed, and your brain replays that mistake from 3 years ago, like a movie on loop. You think of what you should have said, what you should have done, how things could have turned out if only. But here's the truth, you can't change the past, and yet we keep giving it our energy. Now, don't get me wrong, reflection is healthy. Learning from mistakes is essential. But there's a fine line between learning and self-punishment. That line is called rumination, and it's a trap. It pulls you out of the present and locks you in a mental prison where the only thing you can feel is regret, shame, or anxiety. The Stoics knew this well. They didn't waste energy on the could-haves or the should-haves. They focused on one thing. What can I influence right now? Not yesterday, not last week, not the job you didn't get, the thing you wish you hadn't said, or the opportunity that passed you by. Just this moment, this breath, this next choice. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." And your mind, it wants to move forward. It just needs your permission. So how do we stop ruminating? How do we take back control from that little voice that keeps dragging us back? It starts with awareness. The next time you catch yourself replaying something over and over in your head, pause and name it. Say to yourself, that's rumination. Labeling it helps you separate from it. You're not in the storm anymore. You're observing it. And once you see it clearly, you can redirect it. Ask yourself, what's my next productive step? Not a perfect step, not a grand solution, just one useful move forward. Because when you shift from rumination to intention, you take your power back. Let me give you a real example. A friend of mine recently lost a promotion. She worked hard for it, felt like it was hers. And then, nothing. It went to someone else. For weeks, she spiraled. What did I do wrong? Why didn't I speak up more? Maybe I'm just not good enough. But one day she caught herself. She labeled it, that's rumination. Then she asked, what can I do now? Her answer, start building skills for the next opportunity. Seek honest feedback. Network more boldly. She turned the loop into a ladder and started climbing again. That's the power of a forward-focused mindset. It doesn't ignore pain. It just refuses to live in it. Because here's the truth. We all mess up. We all miss chance. We all have moments we wish we could rewind. But the past is a place to learn from, not live in. So instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Try asking, what can I build because of this? This mindset builds something deeper than success. It builds resilience. And when life throws curveballs, you won't waste time judging the pitch. You'll focus on your swing. Now here's a simple practice you can start today. At the end of each day, take 2 minutes. Think of one moment where your mind wandered back to regret or criticism. Name it. That's rumination. Then ask yourself, what's one small, forward-moving action I can take tomorrow? It might be an apology, a task you've avoided, a conversation you need to have, a boundary you need to draw. Whatever it is, do it. Because action breaks the cycle. Action reminds you that you are not defined by your past. You are shaped by what you choose next, and every next choice is yours to own. So the next time your mind tries to drag you back, don't fight it. Just reroute it. Name it. Redirect it. Move forward. Because this moment right here is the only place your life is actually happening. And the only thing standing between you and your next breakthrough is the courage to stop looking back and start stepping forward. Let me ask you something simple but powerful. Why do you get out of bed in the morning? Not because you have to, not because your alarm yelled at you, but why really? What's pulling you forward in life? Because if you don't know the answer to that, then every little stress, every rude person, every inconvenience can knock you off track. Here's the thing most people don't realize. We don't burn out because we're too busy. We burn out because we're busy doing things that don't feel meaningful. We get overwhelmed not just because life is hard, but because we forget why we're pushing through in the first place. Aimlessness is exhausting. It's like sailing a boat with no compass. The moment a storm hits, you panic, you drift, you spin, you go nowhere. But when you have a purpose, a deep sense of why you're here, everything changes. Stress still shows up. People still annoy you. Plans still fall apart. But now you have something solid inside, something that keeps you grounded when the world gets loud. The Stoics knew this well. They taught that when we anchor ourselves in purpose, whether it's our personal values, long-term goals, or a sense of service, our emotions stop controlling us. Instead of being driven by frustration or fear, we begin to respond from intention. Think of it like this. You're standing in a long line. It's hot. Someone cuts in front of you. Your patience is fraying. Now, if you're just surviving the day with no greater focus, this moment might feel like the final straw. But if your purpose is, say, I lead with kindness and strength, or I choose calm over chaos, then you've got a guide, a compass, a simple phrase you can repeat in your mind like armor. I act with integrity and calm. My strength is my self-control. I don't trade peace for ego. And just like that, the emotion is still there, but it doesn't own you anymore. You've reconnected with your deeper self, and that's where your real power lives. Now let me be clear. Your purpose doesn't have to be grand or poetic. It just has to be honest. It could be showing up for your kids, building something meaningful with your hands, being a light in a world that often feels dark. Whatever it is, when you name it, you own it. And when you own it, you can return to it every time life tries to shake you. Here's a simple exercise I recommend. Take 5 minutes today, just 5, and write your own personal mantra or mini mission statement. It doesn't have to impress anyone, it just has to ground you. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be under pressure? What do I stand for when no one's watching? What do I want my reactions to reflect about me? Then put it into a sentence, one you can carry with you silently anywhere. I remain steady in storms. I lead with grace, not ego. I don't react, I respond with purpose. This is not about being perfect. It's about remembering who you want to be, especially when life tests you the most. Because here's the reality. We all get emotional. We all have buttons. We all snap sometimes. But purpose, it gives us a pause button. And in that pause, between impulse and action, we reclaim choice. So the next time you're provoked, someone cuts you off in traffic, a coworker takes credit for your work, your child throws a tantrum right as your patience runs out. Don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, how does the version of me I respect respond here? Purpose turns emotional chaos into clarity because you're no longer reacting from the surface, you're acting from your core. One of my favorite quotes from Viktor Frankl, who survived the horrors of a concentration camp and still chose meaning over bitterness, is this: "Those who have a why to live can bear almost anyhow." And if he could find strength in the darkest of places, maybe we can find our footing in the chaos of a Monday morning. So don't just survive your days. Don't just react your way through life. Anchor yourself, build your internal compass. Write your mantra, repeat it when life gets loud, and remind yourself, every moment is a chance to either drift with emotion or steer with purpose. So let's step back and take a breath. What if I told you peace isn't something you find? It's something you build. Piece by piece, reaction by reaction, moment by moment. Over the last few minutes, we've explored some powerful truths, not just about Stoicism, but about life. You've learned that your first reaction doesn't have to be your final one. That stillness is a choice you can make, even in chaos. That expectations, when held loosely, can free you from frustration. That discomfort can be your greatest teacher, and even pain can carry purpose. When you're willing to zoom out, pause, observe, and respond with wisdom instead of impulse. This is emotional strength, and it's not reserved for philosophers or monks on mountaintops. It's for people like you and me, busy people, tired people, people caring more than they admit, people who want to feel less controlled by the noise around them and more connected to the calm within them. Because here's the truth no one teaches us in school. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can always control how you meet it. And the way you meet it, that shapes who you become. So here's my challenge to you, starting today. Start small, not with some grand transformation, but with something simple and powerful. Next time someone frustrates you, pause. Don't react, just breathe. Next time life feels unfair, ask, what strength is this moment building in me? Next time discomfort shows up, thank it. Say, this is growth in disguise. And when a problem feels too big, zoom out. Will this matter in 5 years, in 5 weeks, even in 5 days? Because most of the time, the fire is in your head, not your life. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to practice. Practice seeing more clearly, choosing more wisely, responding more calmly, and being more grateful, even in the middle of the storm. That's how you build the kind of peace that no one can take from you. Not the kind that depends on everything going right, but the kind that remains even when everything goes wrong. Now, before you go, let me ask you one last thing. Think back to the last time your patience, your mindset, or your peace was tested. What did that moment reveal about you? And who do you want to be the next time it happens? Take 60 seconds today to reflect on that. Or better yet, share it in the comments, in a journal, with a friend. Because reflection is how we turn experience into wisdom, and wisdom is how we turn pressure into power. So wherever you are right now, just know, the journey doesn't start with doing more. It starts with doing one thing differently. One pause, one breath, one choice that says, I don't have to be a slave to this emotion. To feed this chaos, I can meet this moment with clarity, with courage, and with calm. You're not here to live at the mercy of the world. You're here to meet the world with mastery. So keep practicing, keep showing up, and keep building that unshakable peace from the inside out. Because the stronger your inner world becomes, the less the outer world can break you. Thanks for spending this time with me. If this message spoke to you, share it with someone who might need it too. And as always, live boldly, live calmly, and never stop becoming the person you were meant to be. If these Stoic strategies have resonated with you, don't let your journey end here. Join our community of emotional masters today. Click subscribe so you'll never miss another tip on staying calm and resilient amid life's storms. If you found these methods empowering, hit like to show your support and fuel our mission to bring you more high-quality insights. Know someone who's battling stress or on the verge of snapping? Share this video. Sometimes a single moment of calm is all it takes to turn someone's day around. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell us how you plan to apply pause, breathe, disciplin in your next heated moment. Maybe you've already tested it. Share your triumphs or slip-ups, or reveal your own go-to trick for holding your cool. Your story might be exactly the spark someone else needs. Don't forget to ring the so you're always first in line when we drop new Stoic lessons. Ready to master your reactions instead of letting them master you? Subscribe, like, share, and comment now. Let's build unshakable inner strength, one mindful choice at a time.